Hi guys, so today we're going to be using my brand new collection. This is the Vibrant Vibes collection. It is the collection of the summer. It has 9 gorgeous, bright, juicy colors, and this is everything you need for your summer nails. So we're going to be painting Ariel, so if you want to join in, grab your paints and your brushes and let's go! This crazy thing. So this is what we will be using today, along with my Perfect Portraits collection. And this collection actually has a shade called Little Mermaid, which is perfect for Ariel's skin tone. Okay, so the image we're painting today, I'm going to pop it on the screen. And I have already painted this many years ago. This was actually the first ever Disney character nail set I ever did. Look how big it is. We're gonna redo this whole image now that I've leveled up by 3 years, so this is gonna be interesting. I'll try and keep the similar shape, so I'm gonna go with stiletto. I mean, these are my extra long stiletto, and I'm gonna actually do these to fit me. I'm just gonna go one size up just because it's a little bit easier. And these are ready for content, so if I was to wear them out, obviously I would go smaller. Okay, so I don't know why on that set I did 5 nails that joined together. Well, I guess they weren't for wearing, so it didn't really matter. Okay, so let me just show you the size difference. Okay, so this is what I did then, and this is what we're doing now. So yeah, big difference, but I think we can do it. Before we sketch, I'm gonna actually lay down a thin layer of kind of cloudyish color. I'm gonna actually use the shade Little Mermaid just as a base, and I'm gonna mix it with some matte top coat. Let me show you what this is gonna do. This is one of the handiest tricks I ever learnt. It just makes your sketching easier. Let me grab some matte top coat. Little sneak peek new product there. So I'm just going to mix these up, and it's just going to kind of give me a more transparent colour. It's kind of milky. The brush I'm using is my gel brush, which is perfect for painting on gel polish. So can you see that? It's not a solid colour. It's just going to give me that light base. It's not harsh. It's just going to help me basically see where those lines are going. And you don't have to be too neat with this. That is perfect. Because I have that perfect mix there, I'm just going to go ahead and do that for the rest of them, so that it's easy to see exactly where I'm sketching on all of the nails. So there is the 4 nails. As you can see, they are still transparent. I can still see those pink stands through them. But yeah, I'm just going to be able to see more clearly where I'm drawing. So to sketch out my characters, I'm going to use my Black Paws gel paint. And I think I actually have some in my pinky palette. Guys, these pinky palettes are an absolute game changer. So you know how you always make a mess with your gel paints? Well, these have clickable lids, so it cannot physically spill out the side, but you can also get it around the rim. So by using the pinky palette, you will literally only ever need to open your gel paints like 3 times in their life, because you just fill your pinky palette back up. Honestly, it is an absolute game changer. I'm just going to get some of this black out. I need to refill it. As you can see, I've been using this a lot. And then you just pop that on your palette. No more messy gel paints. So a little tip for you guys, if you're using a phone as a reference, If you are, then I would suggest you zoom in. Let me zoom out a bit. You zoom in, pretend that this whole screen is the nail. Maybe a little bit more. I think that, I would like to get that on the nail. So I'm just going to screenshot that in case I need to go back to it. Now what I'm going to do is work out the center. So this is going to be the whole nail. So the center is going to be, the center's about there, isn't it? So I'm probably going to start with this eye, and I'm going to do it just shy left of the center. This is the center right here. I've just mixed a little bit of top coat with this. I'm going to come just shy of the center, and I'm going to do that edge of the eye. Now we're kind of creating a triangle, but we want the bottom line to have a curve. So I'm going to find the center of this, because it's a triangle, and I'm just going to curve that line around. Can you see that? If this flick comes out too far, don't worry, we can fix that in a minute. Now we're going to pull this line up to create that triangle. There you go. Now I'm going to put in the pupils. And you've got to imagine a circle. So even if the whole circle's not on, you need that pupil shape to be a circle if she's facing straight on. And if you find it easier, you can just go ahead and color that in now. Completely optional. And we're going to follow that exact line and pop in her iris. Perfect. Now she does have some pretty lashes, so I'm going to do those now. And I'm going to take this line slightly higher over the top and follow that line and just kind of flick up like that. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush now. This is my skinny mini brush, and it is exactly that. And I'm just going to try and create almost like an eyeliner on top and extend the eyelash just a little bit. And then we're going to come in with the other lashes. Now you do want to count them on characters like this because there's only 3 or 4, so it does kind of make a difference. So I'm going to flip the nail now, and every time I do an eyelash, I'm going to follow that eyeliner line I just did. So I'm going to follow it, and I'm going to flick. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to follow it, and I'm going to flick. If you need to thicken it up after, you can. I'm just almost trying to just get in those lash lines first. And then I'm going to do one more. A little bit smaller. And I'm going to flick. Perfect. Now I'm going to cure that. Okay, so next up we're going to do this nose line, and you have to kind of imagine where the nose will be, but you can use things to help you. So for example, that nose gap looks about the same width of this eye. So if you imagine two areas that are the same width, you've got the eye and then the nose here, and I'm just going to mark it like that. And that's just going to give me a guide to where that nose should be. So it comes kind of wider this way, and then about halfway along this eye it kind of starts to bend, and it almost flicks down like that. So before I do the rest of the nose, I want to actually do this right eye because I want to make sure that these are on point. Now, if you look at this line we did earlier, this curved line here, I'm trying to pull that out a little bit. This eye will also follow that line. So I'm gonna, it looks like I'm painting over the top of it, but I'm not. I'm just going over it like this, following that line. And I'm going to put my brush down when I get to the place where it should be painted. Like that. So now we should have eyes that are in the right place, but we'll find out once we do the eyelids and everything like that. We can check that everything's in proportion. So I'm going to do her pupil first. Just going to go over this one so it's a little bit clearer for me to see. So this one, should be about there. And then the iris. Oh, I'm in way too thin there. Make sure you let that dry. Just doing a little sketch. Skinny Mini is not the brush to colour in with. Okay, let me just take that little corner away now. This cleanup brush is called Squeaky Clean, by the way. Right, while that's drying, I'm just going to go ahead and put in this eyelid, and you want to follow this line here, this exact same line, and we're just going to do it higher, like that. That's all you're going to do. Okay. So that should be dry now. I'm going to do her other eyelid. And this one comes out a little bit more, and there's just three lashes on this one. Just like that. I think this nose needs to come down. So I am just going to put that back in. Yeah, I'm going to pull this nose down, I feel. I think it's too high. Okay, so I want to bring this curve in more, like that. That's more like it. Okay. Just going to move this line. If you make a mistake like that and you cure it, don't worry, because you can paint over it after. That's fine. I just want this line to be more down. Like that. it's looking good. Honestly, guys, one thing I will take my time on with a Disney princess, and I advise anyone to do, is the nose. If you don't get that nose right, it's not going to look like a Disney. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I can alter it again if I want to later, but try and perfect it as much as you can. So let's work on her smile. Okay, so the tip of her, the edge of her mouth on the left side is in line with this eyeball. So we can just almost put a little mark there, like that. On the other side is wider than her eye. So I'm just gonna kind of do a little mark like that. Now, while I was doing those marks, I was kind of looking at the distance between here and here as well. I didn't just mark it anywhere, you know. I was just trying to roughly guess. It's just going to save me work later on. Okay, so when you do her lips, it's not just a, you know, a curved line. It always curves down a little bit on the edges, and then it comes up in the middle and then down again. So it's very slightly as well. So it's just kind of like that. I might even want to take it higher over here. But for now, I'm just going to do the bottom. And the bottom, it's just kind of, it makes it almost into a triangle. So like that, and it's going to look like her mouth's open right now. But we're going to shut that mouth by putting a line through the middle. Like that. And then either side of the mouth, you'll have her little smile lines. You don't have to put these in yet, but it might help you with proportion size. I tend to do the details as I'm doing them, just so I know where everything goes and belongs, and just helps me know that everything's in the right place. Okay, she's looking really good. I want to bring up this nose line I just noticed I missed, and her other eyelid, and then I'm going to pop that in the lamp. I honestly still think the nose is way too big, so I am probably going to paint over the whole of that in a minute. This side is fine, but yeah, this nostril I've done way too far over. But it's fine, we can change that in a second, there's no problem. But let me show you how I would change it at this stage if I didn't want to do it later on. I wanted to do it now to get it out of the way. And I'm literally just going to buff off those lines. And that's it. Well, I tried not to go through the paint, but I have. That nose line is actually more just shy of this line here. So it's about there. And it's a slight diagonal like that. Oh, sorry, going off cam. And then you want to do a line going diagonally this way. Oh, I think I came in too far. But that's better. That's what I wanted. That is much better. This is my Dinky Pinky, which can also be used as a really good cleaning brush for smaller areas. Okay, that's much better. Okay, I'm going to leave that. Right, so up next, I'm going to put in her eyebrows. And you almost want to follow the lash line, but obviously a bit higher. Like that, one. And I do like to get a nice ball on the end of my brush, which will almost be like the inner parts of the eyebrows. You can do it if you want to do it face on like this. You don't want to flip the nail. You just want to put a dot where the inner part of the eyebrow will be, and then a tiny dot where the bottom will be. And then you can flip it and you can almost just let your brush do the rest. Like that. Perfect. Okay. So she's got some brows. Now let's put in the side of her head. So as you can see, it comes out, in and out. So what I like to do is I like to mark the inner part, and the inner part is usually just shy of the eyebrow, so about there. There's your inner part. And now I can put in her forehead, which is a curve, and it's gonna connect to that part. I probably could have gone in a bit more, like that. Now our fringe is going to cover most of that as well. So now I've got the inner part. I'm going to do a sharp turn, and that's going to be her cheek. I'm going to pull it out like that, and we're going to flip it around like that. Now she does have obviously hands over her face, but we're just going to ignore those hands for a minute, okay? I want you to mark the inner part again around the mouth. Can you see it goes out, in and out? So the inner part is about there. Okay, so now I can connect this cheek up. Like that. And again, I'm going to pull out this side. Maybe that was a little bit too far. I'm going to put in this bottom chin line here first, which is a nice diagonal. And it starts off a little bit wider over here. A little bit. And then flick that around. Okay. Right, so I want to put in this left hand now, because this is going to cover up most of this side now. So if you just go left of her eyeball, and then it's quite a straightforward shape really. It's just a curve round like that. And that's where her hand's going to be. And then if you go to the edge of her pupil, follow your brush down, that is where her wrist is. And you can go ahead and pull that down. Like that. And then her right hand is going to be pretty much the same as that, but the other way around. We're going to leave a little gap. I'm going to pull a diagonal line this way. Like that. It looks like she has a long neck. Oh, Lord. Okay. Right, I'm going to finish this right arm before I do the hand, okay? So, just coming lower than that chin, you almost want to do quite a sharp diagonal line out, okay? Now we need a tight turn here, and then you're going to pull that arm out like that. Now everyone's intimidated by hands and fingers, and I do not blame them, because honestly they are one of the hardest things to paint, but if you do it step by step, it's easy, okay? So we're going to do this front finger first. Now we're going to actually mark in the top of the finger, which is about there, okay? And we're going to do the outside of the finger first. So we're going to do one line like that, and then one line like that. Did you see that? It was almost like an M, just a little M. And then where our line is here, we're just going to do a curved line like that. And then we're going to do a line down. And how easy was that? See, when you break it down. So this finger, you don't really see a lot of it. We're just going to put in a little edge over here. We are going to do that shape I just told you about though. We're going to go 1, 2. And there you go. Just like that. That almost looks like a beauty spot now, doesn't it? Okay. Right, let's do her fringe. So her fringe starts just in front this eyebrow. So I'm going to mark that there. And it comes up just above this eyebrow there. See how I'm marking it? And it swoops round and it ends up in between this eyebrow and this eye, so about there. So let's do this top line first. So we want a nice swoop like that. And I'm going to follow this line, but come higher and let go. That one's just going to kind of hover there. So this line we want to connect to this line, and we want a nice wide kind of oval shape like that. And then this side of the hair, we're just going to curve out like that. Above this fringe part, you want to take a nice kind of chunky sort of triangle like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cure it before I come this side, because there's a risk of me smudging it. Okay, she's all cured in the lamp, and now if I'm painting this side and my finger touches it, doesn't matter. Right, so let's fill in this area first. So first you want to do a small diagonal line here, and that's going to be her neck. Like that. Nice and simple. And now you want to do a small curve the other way, which will be her shoulder. Now in between this section, you're going to do a very small little C. And that's like her armpit. And then underneath that will be her seashell bra. And I think I shouldn't have gone that far over, but that's fine. We can adjust that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to do them roughly for now. I'll show you how to neaten those up later. So we're going to pop in her arm, which just connect like that. Okay, so over to this side. So first we're going to put in the outside of her hand. And do you remember how we did this triangle line here? We kind of want to do similar. So if this is the bendiest part here on her hand, this will be the bendiest part on the outside, okay? So we're going to do our straight line there and then our sharp bend. And then that is going to be her wrist, which will come out. Okay? So these hands, this side will be a little bit different. She's got all 4 fingers on show, but we're going to do it one at a time, okay? So we've already got half of this finger here. Now what I'm actually going to do is just going to put a little lid on it, like that. It's just going to help me. It's going to help soften the point of the finger so it doesn't like freak out or anything. Now remember how we did this M? We're going to do it exactly the same, but the other way. Now we've got our point, so we're going to go 1, 2, like that. How easy was that? Now I want to put another little point on here, but I'm going to come higher. See that? Because it's a longer finger. Now I want to follow this M I did, like that and like that. And now we've got 2 fingers. And I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to put on the lids. If you think your fingers are getting too wide, make them a bit skinnier. I probably did this one a little bit too wide. And if this was for a customer, I would change it. But it's just for content. I don't think you're going to notice from this angle. It should be absolutely fine. Okay, so her fringe, this side, actually sweeps down and covers that eyebrow. And it hits the top of this finger. So I'm going to start this side because I've got a lovely guide. And it goes like that. Oops. And then it actually stops there because the fringe covers it. Okay, so we're going to pop the top hair in now. So you've already got this line here, and we want to just almost do like a big curve on top, like that. Can you guys hear the church bells in the background? Someone is getting married. Okay, so we've got the top of the hair. That looks good. Now we're just going to pull this down. You don't need to be too precise for this bit. So if you do kind of think, oh, it's a little bit wide, a little bit long, I wouldn't worry too much. You can just kind of do your own thing at this stage, you know. Okay, so over here, I'm just going to do a soft curve line down like that. And I think that is everything. I'm just going to actually pull in this fringe line here so I know where it's going. Like that. So to colour in, I'm going to use my She's So Fine. This is a 9mm small liner brush. And I'm going to take that shade we had earlier, which was called Little Mermaid, and I'm going to paint in everywhere where her skin is to be. I'm not worried about these lines because this is a very, you know, light nude, and it is highly pigmented, but that is why I wanted to use the liner gel, the black liner gel, to draw with, because if I had gone in with a sketch gel, it may not necessarily have shown through. So there is always a method to my madness. And you can see this is the perfect Ariel skin tone. And I'm going over those eyelashes. And sometimes it might seem like I'm putting way too much on, and that's just because I'm using the nail kind of as a palette, and I'm just chucking a blob on and then I'm just kind of spreading it out. Saves me going back and forth all the time. I've just gone over her lip a little bit, but that's okay because the lip will be a darker colour. Now she's going to look a little weird at this point, and that is perfectly normal. Colour blocking always makes your characters look very strange because you're literally taking the details aback, you know? And these gel paints just are so smooth and creamy. They are so pigmented, considering this is pretty much on a completely transparent nail. Look how well they are. I think colour blocking as well, you will speed up your character work rather than trying to do every individual section. And you can see how they blend as they self-level together. They are just so perfect. Can't wait to show you guys the new collection in a minute. We're going to be using the red. Now all of my gel paints as well, you can go straight on top of with a matte top coat. Even my black, even my red, even my yellow. It was a must-have for me and my brand because I have messed up so many nails by completely forgetting to wipe over them with alcohol or go over them first with a gloss top coat. And yeah, I wanted them matte, so I just went over them and boom. I've literally washed like designs away. So yeah, I also didn't want them to be able to touch each other even though they're cured and, you know, merge and smudge. So they're all smudge proof, which is a bonus. They are just perfect for doing characters. Okay, so for her hair, we're obviously going to be using red, which is strawberry jam. And this color is delicious. So I'm going to grab strawberry jam out of my palettes. I literally have a palette for every collection I have. So yeah, grab a few. They're so handy. And I'm going to just start with the outside. Ugh, this red, it's just so dreamy. And can you believe it is smudge proof? Now when you cure this red, you may still get a slight tacky layer, so you will need to top coat. However, it's still smudge proof, which also means chromes. You can go straight on top of all of my paints using chromes. Another bonus. She's So Fine is so good for colouring it in, guys. It's like it can be used as a drawing brush because it's got such a fine nib on it, but because of the length, it holds the right amount of gel polish. So if I was to do this with Skinny Mini, I can't hold as much gel polish, so I'm going to be back and forth a lot more. Do you know what I mean? And this one, it's just, oh, beautiful. I think if I had to choose one set to do a whole, one brush to do a whole set in, I honestly think it would be this brush. Sturdy Boy is my favourite, but as an all-rounder, She's So Fine. It's gotta be. I'm wiping my brush now because I want to get that point in here, so I don't want as much product. So I'm going to use the nib, get that nice point in there. See that? Like that. And now I'm not so bothered. I can kind of go back to me colouring in. On this line I'm not so bothered because it's just a nice swoosh. Swoosh. And this is a 1 coat coverage, as you can probably see. I'm going to be doing Flounder in my next video, guys, so if you want to join in with him, you are more than welcome to. And I'm going to actually post a picture of these on Instagram because I want to compare them to the original set I showed you at the start. So it's going to be interesting to see if I've improved. I love looking back on old pictures and videos and stuff and, you know, really seeing your progress. I think it pushes you because sometimes you don't feel like you're progressing and then you look back and you're like, wow, okay, maybe I am. Okay, let's pop that in the lamp, making sure there's no bubblies. I'm also going to do her lips in the same red. And I'm not really focusing on the outside lines. I just want to get this sort of triangle area coloured in. gonna wipe that little line there. Okay, so we're going to do her eyes now, and we're going to use white mittens. I don't have this in my palettes for some reason. I need to load them up. So I'm just going to scoop a bit out and pop it on my palette. Okay, so we're going to paint in the eye area, and I'm just going to actually ignore the iris as well and just paint the whole section where it would be blue as well. And if you go over the pupil section a little bit too much, don't worry, because we can fix that in a minute with our black. We're going to do that next. So she's going to look really crazy right now. She actually has a tiny bit of white over there too. She looks crazy. And this eye. Tell me why I just went over the whole eye and I didn't even leave the pupil out. I'll tell you why, because I was looking at my reference image and I got a little carried away, but that's fine. We move. Right, I'm going to cure that. So I have the perfect shade for Ariel's eye, and it's called Blue Lagoon. It's turquoise, but it's more towards the bluey side. Can you see that? Hence the name Blue Lagoon. This color is so pretty. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that out. You do not need a lot. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix a small amount with black, and I'm just going to do this for the outside of the iris area. So I'm going to actually draw in, and I'm going to try and be precise now. Where I want that line to be. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Kind of has a bend at the top, and then it's a little bit straighter as you get to the bottom. So now I've gone back to the original Blue Lagoon colour. So this one is not mixed with any black. And I'm going to paint in the iris. And I know there's going to be a pupil here, so I'm going to kind of leave that out. So now I'm coming back in with black paws, and we're going to put those pupils back in. And hopefully she won't look so crazy. So as you can see, I've got kind of a round bead on the end of my brush. And the reason is, you can use it almost like a dotting tool. Now I know that wasn't big enough, but I'm just trying to get a little bit off my brush. I'm just kind of doing like circular motions. At the same time, I don't want it to be too thick. Okay, I'm just going to do the eyelashes, and this will be the last thing that we use the black for. Because everything else is outlined in either brown or dark red. So I'm just going to really try and perfect. I'm going to do this one after, actually, because I want to put that eyelid line on first. However, this one, it won't affect it. So we can go ahead and do this one. I'm just going to thicken them up slightly. And these gel paints are buildable, so you can go thicker if you want them to be darker. Okay, I'm going to cure that. So for the line work of Ariel, I'm going to grab shade Coda out my palette. And the reason I'm doing it first is because it actually goes behind all of those lashes. Like that. And I will do the lashes on top after. So with that same colour, we can go ahead and start putting in our details. And you should, if you've done one coat, be able to see them. Okay, so before I do any more, I'm actually going to go over the skin one more time, and I'm going to add in that blush and that highlight. Now I am going to avoid my lines if I can, and this is also a really good way of thinning out any lines that you might have done too thick or you want to slightly change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over the face first, and then I'm going to show you how to add the blush. So I did notice a bit here that was actually supposed to be her neck. So I've just painted that over. I'm hoping it will cover with just the one layer, and it looks pretty good, to be fair. So I'm just gonna blend all that together. Never go too thick with gel paints because you don't want them to crinkle in the lamp. But these are so pigmented, you shouldn't need, I'm just going to take some of that off. You shouldn't need to go too thick. If you do, like I just have, you can just pick it up and place it elsewhere. Okay, let's cure that again. I do want to give her some cheeks, so I'm going to take some Bashful. And this is Bashful. It's just a perfect peachy blush for a pale skinned character. And I'm just going to place them where I would do if I was doing makeup. Like that. And now I'm going to wipe my brush off. This is the Dinky Pinky. And I want the brush to be dry. And I'm going to kind of pull that product out. And what you're doing is creating an ombre. You're creating a faded color. Now, because I'm using such little product, I don't really need to go and wipe my brush again. But if you was doing this on a big surface, you probably would. can't really see that side much. I'm going to use the same colour for shading, so like areas around her eye, up here where her fringe would be hanging over, this section, and this is why I've left the very last details till last. So that eyelid, we want this to be a little bit more of a cheekbone. I'm just going to drag that. Might need to put her nose in for this. Or use this guide to figure out where that darn nose will be. And I'm just like hitting my brush on the nail. So I'm going to go in with some highlights now, and I'm going to mix some white with my original colour Little Mermaid, and it's going to create a highlight that is kind of the same colour as the skin tone. And we're going to run down the nose. And we're going to come along this cheekbone. And the same on that side. Just going to wipe my brush, and I'm going to try and let these two colours kind of marry together. Okay, that's looking good. I'm also going to do a highlight line along the bottom. That's looking really good. And just a little bit there. I'm gonna just use maybe a little bit of Bashful just to highlight the lip. Just ever so slightly under that center line. I'm just going to see if this is going to stand out. Yes, it is. I think I made a mistake there, but that's alright. I can change that after. And then I'm gonna dip my brush into the white and just do those very important eye whites. Just because I'm here and I'm using the white now, it just makes sense, you know. And just a very light little touch like that. That looks amazing. Right, so I'm gonna highlight the rest of her body now. And I'm basically doing exactly the same. I might add a little bit more of a darker blush on her in a minute, just because I used Bashful for her shadowy bronze colour. But wow, that worked so well, those two colours. I might have to wait this side and go back over the lines, but that looks so good so far. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm going to cure that. Okay, so I'm just going to add this arm detail back in over here. So that I can kind of see where I'm going with my highlight. Okay, let's go back over those fingers. So again, I'm just going to do the top of the finger, and then I'm going to do that M. The M shape like that. Okay, I'm gonna do this nose now once and for all. This is the last time I'm gonna be touching the nose, okay? So bear with me. Okay, I think the nose is done. I'm happy. Yes. Okay, let's crack up with the eyebrows. So for the dark lines on the hair and the lips, I've just mixed some strawberry jam with black paws, and I'm just going to go over all of those hairlines and lip lines. Okay, so we're going to do her seashell bra now. Now there are two kind of purples in the collection. This one is definitely like the name. It's more of a raspberry pinky purple. It looks really pink on camera, but it's definitely a mix. So yeah, we're going to use this one, which is called Summer Storm. So let me just show you that one next to Raspberry Ripple. So yeah, this one's definitely more of the correct colour. So I am going to mix that with a little bit of white to colour it in, but I will be using that straight up colour for the outside. So like I did earlier with the pupils, I'm just kind of making a bead on the end. This is skinny mini because it is such a small area. And with that bead on the end, I'm going to kind of get those perfect bumps. I'm not really fussed about the center yet. I'm just kind of working on those like that. And then I'm going to paint the rest of it in. Okay, I'm going to pop that in the lamp. So now I'm going to outline each section. Kind of like we did with those fingers. I'm just doing the bumps. Then the easier part. For this rock that she's actually leaning on, I want to use Blue Lagoon again, which we used for her eyes. And pop that in the lamp. And for the background, the sea, I kind of want to do a mix of Blueberry Punch and Blue Lagoon. So let me show you these two. So this is Blueberry Punch versus Blue Lagoon. So I just want to kind of do a bit of both. Switch to a smaller brush, I think. Okay, so now that's cured, I've just mixed a little bit of Blue Lagoon with a hint of white and a tiny bit of top coat. And I'm just kind of giving it some wave lines, I guess. Just like that. Got to show you this because this might be one of my favorite samples ever. Look at this. Oh, honestly, does that not scream mermaid? I love it. So I'm going to just place that over the top of the blue just to give it a little sparkle. Oh, look at that. That is like the perfect ocean shimmer I was looking for. Let me know if you guys need this colour. That is so pretty. I'm going to show you these two. So I'm actually going to paint a little starfish in front of Ariel. So this is a bumblebee. I've been using it a lot. And then we have Sunset, which is a beautiful summer bright orange. I do have a swatch video as well if you guys want to go check that out. So I'm just going to use my white gel paint and just do a little star. Why does my star look weird? It's fine. So I've added a touch of Sunset mixed with mostly Bumblebee to create this yellow. And cure. So I'm just going to add some, do you call it foliage in the sea? I'm not really sure. You know, seaweed and stuff like that, just around here so it doesn't look so flat. And then I'm going to do a little bit of line work on this starfish. It looks good. Gonna add some shading. Just where she is leaning over the rock. Just blending that out so there's not harsh lines. And I'm trying to make it darker the closer the shadow is. So I want to pop some cute little bubbles around Ariel. And we're just going to do, I'm using Skinny Mini for this. And I'm just going to do a circle. So the shade I'm using is Blue Lagoon. And it's mixed with a little bit of white, just so it's not too harsh. And I'm just putting a little dot in the top left corner. Oops, I smudged that, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to cure that. Now with that same colour I used to draw the bubbles, I have just mixed with some top coat and I'm just gonna colour those in like that. So the very last thing I like to do is check everything, and I've just noticed that I haven't filled those eyelashes back in. So I'm going to do that now. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Turn it upside down. 4. So again, I'm just checking that everything is there. I've just noticed that I haven't done those little smile lines, so I'm going to pop that in. That's better. I think there's a tiny one there. Okay, so if you're happy with everything, you can go ahead and cure. We will be top coating with, of course, my favorite glass slipper top coat. This is delish. Top coat moment. Oh, look at that. You can see why it's called glass slipper. I mean, it is just a dream in a bottle. By the way, these pink pearl gloves, must have for content, are also available from my store. Okay, that is so pretty. I'm just gonna let that self level. Look at that. And cure. And you have just painted Ariel. How pretty. So here they are all together. I've actually matte top coated this now because I'm actually going to be doing a tutorial on a mini flounder. So check that one out next. And let me show you them with my old nails. So here is my Ariel set 2022 versus my Ariel set 2025. And just look at the improvement, seriously. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and I hope you loved the Vibrant Vibes collection as much as me. It is available right now. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and make sure you tag me when you post your content.